Welcome back. If you're listening to this with headphones on, maybe late at night, maybe when the house is quiet and your thoughts are loud, I want you to know something first. You're not weak for staying. You're not stupid for believing, and you're definitely not broken for still feeling it. This is, I gave him everything. He gave me trauma. And this story is going to sound uncomfortably familiar. I met him at a time when my life finally felt steady. Not perfect, just stable. I had a routine, a job that paid the bills, friends I trusted. I wasn't looking for someone to save me. I just wanted someone to walk beside me. He felt different from the beginning, calm, observant, the kind of man who listened more than he spoke. When he looked at me, it felt like he actually saw me, not just my body or my smile, but the parts of me that usually stayed hidden. He remembered small things, the way I took my coffee, the story about my childhood that I only mentioned once. He made me feel chosen, and that's how it always starts. At first, he gave just enough to make me lean in, compliments that felt sincere, support that felt steady. He'd say things like, "I've never met anyone like you," or "You make me feel calm," or "I don't know how you do it, but you make everything better." So I did what people do when they feel safe. I opened my heart. I showed up fully. Emotionally, physically, financially. I rearranged my schedule for him, made space in my life for his chaos. I listened to his problems like they were my own. His stress became my stress. His pain became my responsibility. When he had bad days, I was patient. When he snapped, I made excuses for him. When he pulled away, I leaned in harder. I told myself, love means understanding. Love means compromise. Love means staying when things get hard. What nobody tells you is that trauma doesn't always come from being hit or screamed at. Sometimes it comes from slowly disappearing while trying to keep someone else comfortable. The first red flags were small, almost invisible. He'd invalidate my feelings, but gently. "You're overthinking. You're too sensitive. Why do you always make things so serious?" If I cried, he'd get quiet. Not comforting, just distant, like my emotions were an inconvenience he didn't know what to do with. Eventually, I learned to cry alone, to swallow my feelings before they reached my mouth, to choose peace over honesty. And every time I did that, I lost a piece of myself. I became careful with my words, careful with my tone, careful not to upset him. My nervous system stayed on edge, constantly scanning for signs of his mood. Was he okay today? Was he distant? Was he annoyed? Did I do something wrong? I started apologizing for things I didn't do, for feeling, for asking questions, for needing reassurance. And here's the part that hurts the most to admit. I started believing that I was the problem. He never said, "I don't care about you." He didn't have to. His actions said it every time I begged for consistency and got silence instead. When I needed support, he disappeared. When I needed reassurance, he gave logic. When I needed love, he gave distance. But when he needed something, I was always there. I paid for things without keeping score. I sacrificed sleep, peace, energy. I became his emotional dumping ground. He leaned on me to heal his wounds, but never held space for mine. And somehow, I convinced myself this was normal, that this was just how relationships worked, that if I loved harder, understood more, stayed quieter, he would finally meet me where I was. That day never came. Instead, he started pulling away while keeping me close enough to benefit from me, enough affection to keep me hopeful, enough distance to stay in control. That's the most dangerous place to be, when someone gives you crumbs but calls it love. I remember the night everything finally cracked. We were sitting together but miles apart. I told him I felt lonely even when he was next to me. I told him I felt unseen. I told him I felt like I was slowly disappearing. He looked at me and said, "I don't know what you want from me." And in that moment, something inside me collapsed, because what I wanted was basic: consistency, care, emotional safety. And the fact that he couldn't understand that told me everything I needed to know. But I didn't leave that night. Trauma bonds don't break easily. I stayed longer than I should have, long enough to forget who I was before him, long enough to start measuring my worth by how well I could tolerate pain. My body started reacting before my mind did. Anxiety, insomnia, a constant tightness in my chest. I was always tired, always tense, always waiting for the next emotional drop. Love shouldn't feel like survival mode. The end didn't come with closure or clarity. It came quietly, coldly. One day, he was just gone, emotionally checked out, detached, uninterested in fixing anything. He moved on faster than I could process what happened. And that's when the trauma hit. Not just heartbreak, trauma. The kind that makes you question your reality. The kind that replays conversations at 3 a.m. The kind that makes you wonder how you gave so much and ended up feeling empty. I didn't miss him the way people think. I missed the version of myself who believed love was safe. For a long time, I blamed myself for staying, for ignoring the signs, for loving someone who couldn't love me back the same way. But healing taught me something important. I didn't give him everything because I was weak. I gave him everything because I was capable of deep love, loyalty, and compassion. Those aren't flaws. They just became dangerous in the wrong hands. Trauma doesn't always come from what someone does to you. Sometimes it comes from what they take and never give back. I had to relearn myself after him, relearn my boundaries, relearn how to trust my intuition, relearn that love doesn't require me to abandon myself. I went to therapy, I cried, I got angry, I grieved not just the relationship, but the version of me that stayed too long. And slowly, piece by piece, I came back. Not the same, but stronger, wiser, clearer. Here's the truth I wish someone had told me earlier. If love costs you your peace, it's too expensive. If love requires you to silence yourself, it's not love. If someone benefits from your pain and calls it misunderstanding, walk away. You are not meant to be drained to prove your worth. You are not meant to suffer to earn love. You are not meant to bleed so someone else can feel whole. I gave him everything: my time, my energy, my empathy, my patience. And yes, he gave me trauma, but he also gave me clarity, and clarity saved me, because now I know this: real love doesn't confuse you. It doesn't make you anxious. It doesn't make you question your value. Real love feels safe. It feels steady. It feels mutual. So, if you're listening to this and your chest feels tight because it sounds like your story, please hear me. You're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong person. And one day, when you're healed enough to look back without pain, you'll realize this wasn't the love story that broke you. This was the lesson that taught you how to protect your heart. This may be the end of this story, but it's not the end of yours. See you next time.